That's better, kind of, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's better, what's not. Anyways, guess we'll get started with this. I figured, what the hell not? Last 5 months, working, not trying to get death, sickness, working, and more working, and watching AEW, some indie stuff. That's about it. That's about all I've been. It's all I've been up to. Of course, there's all sorts of craziness has been going on. This is kind of why I've been planning on like kind of doing some stuff, but it's hard because like I work all the time. But of course, there's tons of stuff going on. WWE just released a ton of dudes, but it's crazy the fact that I've said this on Twitter a lot, but the whole like craziness as far as what's going on with NXT, the fact that it looks like Nick Khan has basically been like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" And they're all like, "Well, this is supposed to be our like developmental," and he's like, "Well, who all has come from this?" And then there's like 5 people. He's like, "Well, who are the people that were starring?" "Well, those are indie dudes that we signed to keep away from Ring of Honor." And really, even though we were trying to keep them away from Ring of Honor, in the long term, it probably turned into AEW, and then we put them against AEW, and we also tried to put them against the whole WrestleMania weekend and all the people going on, all the people who were piggybacking on us. We were trying to hurt them, and we were trying to keep New Japan out of the U.S., and none of it worked. And I'm sure he was like, "So we did all this, we haven't created any new stars, we haven't done anything, and basically all it's meant is absolutely like nothing." So you've seen like all of this like just release after release from WWE, and it's pretty crazy to see. And yes, lots of deaths. We're probably at that point where we're probably you're going to see a lot of, especially guys from the 80s that a lot of us remember, probably start passing away. Wrestlers by and large usually don't have a long life, just because they're so hard on their bodies. So I would expect that, unfortunately, and then with everything else going on, it's pretty nuts. Bobby Eaton passing away was completely sucked. I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling. One of the reasons is because of the Midnight Express, and the Rock and Roll Express, and lots of other tag teams that have come along. But I can always remember just like the Rock and Roll or the Midnight Express were just kind of like this team that I absolutely thought was awesome, always. So that kind of sucked. And like everybody has said over the last like couple of days, that he was so far ahead of his time, which he was. You go back and look, and you see the stuff that they were doing, and you see the stuff that just basically setting what we think of as pro wrestling in so many ways. So that's pretty nutty, And then the whole Bryan Danielson, CM Punk thing. CM Punk has been rumored for AEW since day one, if they would sign him or not, if they would try to sign him. I have always heard that like there was always a plan to sign him. COVID kind of put that on hold because they were waiting and they were waiting. But it looks like we are going to get that. I am going to be, and I won't be at the Rampage show, but I will be at All Out, and I will be at the Rampage show right before All Out. I won't be at Dynamite, but I will be at that show. I'll be at those 2 shows, and I got those tickets before CM Punk was even like rumored, and now it's crazy. And you look at how hot AEW is right now, and you look at the fact that how well they did in New York, and not just Arthur Ashe, but also the fact that they're playing, you're basically playing Jersey as well, and both of those shows are going to have a lot of people at them. And you look at just the fact that and a lot of that was CM Punk. The United Center thing was a huge, that was almost entirely CM Punk, and it's kind of crazy to sit back and like do your thing, and to see them just like it looks like it's really hot. And it's not just that, it's the fact that we're now at a point where, and people have been so frustrated with WWE for so long, that we are back, for the people that lived through it, because it's one of the things that's really not talked about when you talk about like the Monday Night Wars, is there was that point where people were just like so frustrated with the way guys were being used in WCW. It was like, can they just go to WWE, please? Can we just have these guys go to WWE, and to a lesser extent ECW, but most people understood that they would probably go to WWE. And like when Chris Jericho showed up, that was why that was a big deal. If you go find like on YouTube, that's one of my favorite things, is the night he shows up. And people always remember that. And the thing they don't remember is the guy that was in the ring when he showed up was The Rock. And that now The Rock basically, cut him down, but he's The Rock. So it was what it is. But it was a moment. And that was kind of, in a lot of ways, a lot of people point to like when X-Pac showed up, but that was like a big thing because he was the first guy that people were like, you wanted to see in WWE that kind of just showed up. And we're definitely seeing that now. And a lot of that is, years and years, I think, of frustration by people. And now there's a real alternative where, Sinclair's never really gotten behind Ring of Honor the way that everyone had hoped. Impact is better than TNA was, but it's still not there, I would say. And you've never really had that alternative. You had, maybe what New Japan was going to do, but I mean, it's still kind of just crazy to think that that's what the world would kind of be, as my phone goes crazy for whatever reason. the And I think that's a very interesting and wild and kind of thing, because now you have this list. And Adam Cole is, I think, the guy, and apparently Vince McMahon was meeting with him tonight before all of these announced all of these guys were announced to be, or I guess people, I shouldn't say guys because it wasn't just guys, were let go. And a lot of people have waited and waited, and they've kind of looked at Adam Cole and been like, hey, there's a chance that he could be gone, that he could leave, that people have wanted him to go. And he, in a lot of ways, if let's say, we don't know if Bryan Danielson is going to show up in AEW. We don't know for sure yet, but let's just say he is. And we look at that and we say, so the next guy that everyone's going to like latch on to as the guy that's in WWE, that people are going to be like, don't want him there and want him to leave, no matter like if he wants to leave or not, but who the fans want out of there is going to be Adam Cole. And I think whatever decision he makes, he's going to make for himself. But I think as a fan, so many people just want to see him gone. And I don't think he's the only one. I think there's a whole list of people. I think Ricochet is the same way. I think you can just go down the line of the roster that people are just like, hey, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be, and how are we going to and just the landscape has completely changed. I mean, if you would have told me a year ago that it would be the way it is, where New Japan would just be like, no one really even talks, and a lot of that's the fans, but also the booking as well. The booking has not been very good. Even with a lot of the issues that they've had that are out of their control, the booking still hasn't been all that great. It's hard to watch, especially now that we have fans back in the U.S. for, maybe not a long time, but we do have fans now, and it's very evident. And, I've been saying on Twitter for a while that I thought that would be the game changer when fans came back. And I think when the fans kind of get tired, tired of the fans being back at WWE, it's going to be such a crazy thing. Or that when they get done, I think that's where you're really going to start seeing a difference. Because I really did feel, I mean, you watch an AEW show, the crowd is usually super hot. And when they're super hot, it's like crazy. and it just makes the show seem so much better. And when you look at WWE, from what I hear, and I mean, even though you've got the what is said to be the the crowd sweetening, which they've been doing for ever, and the fact that you got all this other stuff going on, and I think fans just feel like they're not part of the show, and if they're not part of the show, it becomes very much just like, even if they sell a lot of tickets, it's a lot of, or there's a lot of people in the building, there's still like the fans aren't into it, and they're just sitting there and they're going like that. So there is that too. Um, let's see. You also have Bray Wyatt. They let Bray Wyatt go, which you know is kind of crazy, in my opinion. A lot of people have been like, what I like to see. I'm not like some people. The the first incarnation of Bray Wyatt, I liked that a lot. Um, that kind of southern gothic, um, kind of cult type guy. I liked that. I was into that. I would love to see a version of that come back. I think I saw on Twitter, and a lot of people got mad when I said this, but I would love to see him come in and kind of take over the Dark Order, especially the fact that, and kind of change the Dark Order in a way and make them, kind of back to like what they were going, looked like they were going to kind of be with Brody Lee. And I think that would be like fitting and a cool tribute and all of that as well. I think that would be like a cool thing. Um, the question, of course, that everybody has is can you trust him? Apparently a lot of the, um, Funhouse stuff and the Fiend stuff was a lot of Bray Wyatt. How much of that, who knows? But, we heard the same thing about, Malachi Black and all of that, Tommy End, and the fact that when Tommy End was going to come, it was going to be like this crazy thing, and that he would, if AEW didn't like keep a hold on him, and it's pretty evident that he has a lot of control over himself and of what he's doing, and it's worked out. So if he is as creative, Bray Wyatt, as a lot of people say he is, then by all means, I think that would be something. I think that would be something to watch and something to do, and all of that sort of thing. Let's see what else. I'm not even sure. You look at like, the fact that also that helps is that not only is Dynamite on this like crazy run of ticket sales, but the fact that they're also on this crazy run of like good shows. I mean, as far as the ratings go, I thought that this last week's show was just kind of okay, but but they set up a lot of things. I, like a lot of people, don't need the Blade on my TV set like every week. I'm like, you have a ton of guys you could just put on there and do something with. But that was cool. I mean, we got to see Nick Gage on national TV. How crazy was that? I mean, that was nuts. And of course, then you had the whole Domino's Pizza thing, which was absolutely funny, and especially on Twitter. And then to see like PBR, Twitter game was just awesome after that. Just hilarious, I think. Though I would have loved to have, instead of PBR, PBR owns Lone Star, which is like, you'll hear people say the official, beer of Texas. It's not the official beer of Texas, but you'll hear people say that, and I think that would have been a better fit, especially with like somebody like, any of the other guys from Texas there. I mean, that'd be absolutely, I think that'd be a better fit. But, and I did see the commercial. I thought the commercial was fun. I guess, I don't know. It wasn't my type of thing, but I'm officially feel like I'm old. I watched the Suicide Squad movie, and that was just not for me. It was just not for me at all. So there was that too. So trying to think anything else going on. Ring of Honor's not selling any tickets. That kind of sucks. I really do feel like the last probably year, not only did they handle everything the best way, but I also felt like they also were like booking really well too. And it's kind of crazy to that it's not translating. especially since wrestling seems kind of hot now. Especially if you like kind of look at the indies and you kind of look at like what's going on in the indies, even with what I would say not a really strong indie. The indies not being very strong, that will probably change if WWE keeps releasing people, especially releasing people in NXT. Um, that you're going to see that you're probably going to see the indies get better, because not everybody's going to be able to go to go to AEW. I think a lot of people are. I know a lot of people get kind of like, hey, they can't sign everybody. You have to realize a lot of the people that they use, especially on Dark and Elevation, especially the enhancement talent, even the people they use a lot, aren't necessarily under like real contracts. They're on like per appearance contracts. I think over time you'll probably see a lot of those people kind of get phased out a little bit. But yeah, I mean that's that's probably, I wouldn't say ROH is bleeding money because they're owned by a company that is like, worth billions and billions of dollars. So yeah, um, yeah. But who are they going to cut? They don't need to cut. If you actually look and see the people that they actually have under contract, like official contracts, it's not that many people. The people that everyone's like, oh, they need to cut, are the people that aren't actually under contract. And I think that once the indies kind of get up and going a little bit better, I think once Impact and Ring of Honor get going a little better, I think you'll see a lot of those people be used elsewhere and probably won't be like used as much as AEW as well, per se. But we'll see. I could be wrong, but apparently, you know, they've got like 3 more shows that they're going to be like doing like some kind of shows. I'm sure some of those, one of those, I think is probably going to be the Cody reality show. I'm sure there'll be some sort of other like non-wrestling show, probably some like backstage type show or something like that we'll probably get. But you know, that's kind of what it is. But it is funny to see kind of like where we were when AEW started, and the fact that NXT, and to see kind of the way NXT has morphed over time. The fact that NXT started, right? It started, as kind of like, hey, OVW, and they really didn't know what they were doing. So then we'll do Florida Championship Wrestling. Well, then Florida Championship Wrestling morphed into NXT, right? And it was pretty much, hey, we're going to bring in the indie guys, and we're going to kind of teach them our style, and then they will move on, and maybe they'd be there for somewhat, as everybody in the house starts like screaming and hollering for some reason. But the what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and to see it then, then we had the takeover start, and then someone got a brilliant idea of, hey, we could do the takeovers WrestleMania weekend. Kind of talked about this before, but we could start like WrestleMania weekend, and once WrestleMania, and then cut into all of those people who we feel like are piggybacking on us. The ROHs, GCW to an extent. I don't think when that started, they were, now they would be part of that group, but I don't think but all of those groups evolve, even though Evolve, but before Evolve became like under unofficially the WWE umbrella, but all of that, and that was how that started. And then that really didn't work. And then it was, hey, let's, hey, New Japan looks like they're going to make inroads into the U.S. Let's try to use NXT to stop that, because those fan bases are crossed, and that didn't work. And then it was, hey, let's use NXT to sign up all of the guys that would go to Ring of Honor who we might not use on the main roster. And that kind of works, except that then you still had, basically New Japan, not so much ROH, but New Japan and ROH sell out Madison Square Garden. You then, you had the All In show, and which then led to AEW, and really what AEW is what they were trying to stop happening with ROH. and it just so happened to happen with AEW, and now where we're at, and it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to see everything going. It's with the ratings and the business and everything going, and I'm really curious about the um, is really curious to see kind of like where it all goes as far as like the video game, because to me I think the video game could be something that really brings more people in to watch um, AEW. I know like when the WCW versus the World game happened, that all of a sudden, like it seemed like when that game came out, that was about the same time that WCW kind of started going crazy. Um, so I don't know if they need more stars. They have Roosh, and Roosh is a pretty big star. I mean, I know people don't think he's a big star, but he's a pretty big star. Um, but but I also think one of the reasons why he's not champion right now is I do think that the whole like Andrade and Death Triangle, I do think that we're gonna get Andrade and Roosh and somebody else. I don't know who that third person would be. I know who I'd like it to be. I don't know who it will be. Will probably be I would think I really do think that's going to be the thing. I don't know. It would be Dragon Lee. I don't know. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. I mean, imagine if it's not Dragon Lee. Imagine if it's like Naito, for example, and they have all three of them together for the first time in what, like 5 years or whatever it is. That'd be a big deal, especially to like the wrestling nerds like us. That would be kind of a big deal, and I think would be kind of crazy in a lot of ways. Um, but yeah, I think it's absolutely kind of like the thing to see. Everything just kind of happened like that. So I don't know. We've got the forbidden door open apparently, but the forbidden door has not been open to ROH yet. So I think that's kind of the final thing. If we can see kind of them kind of work on that a little bit, I think that would be really cool. I'm also kind of curious to see like the do like how like I'm not big into the NWA, but the NWA like the women's pay per view that's coming up. I'm kind of curious to see like what all they do with that and like who they bring in and like all of that, because I think it could be something. I think it could be something really cool. I'm curious to see if a certain fan base gets behind it or not, because so far it doesn't seem like they're behind it at all, which is kind of crazy to me because all we've heard is that we need more stuff like this, and then when stuff like this happens, we don't see it. So that's kind of crazy to me in a lot of ways. But hypocrisy, hypocrisy. Let's see what else is well, we can talk about Ric Flair, the fact that it looks like you could have in AW, you could have a Horseman reunion, something that WWE very seldom ever did. They kind of every once in a while they would like tease like the Horseman, but you only got really what, a Horseman reunion like twice, I think. Um, I got to think like right out of the bat they're going to do a Horseman reunion. I also wonder if we're going to get like a legit Horseman group that is four dudes who basically get the nod from the Horsemen and kind of go from there. You already have FTR. I think those with Tully. It's possible you then at some point. I don't know if you can ever turn Cody heel, but I mean that's the play. You do then Cody, but I don't know who the fourth guy is. That's my thing. I've always been like, okay, so who is that fourth guy that you could use? Because I don't think it can be MJF, because MJF needs to kind of do his own thing. Um, I don't know who you could like use as far as that. So there's that. there's definitely that as well. But I would fully expect that, and I think that once things kind of get settled down a little bit, um, I do think that at some point, we will get New Japan talent and real New Japan talent and crazy New Japan talent, and I think it will be awesome. You know, I'm still kind of wondering where they've kind of pulled back on the belt collector gimmick a little bit, um, but I'm still wondering if that's kind of the plan is to kind of do the belt collector gimmick. So I could see Adam Page being in the fourth. That if he goes, I mean that's kind of the thing. I just can't see MJF being in there. I think with the UK wrestlers, I think it really depends on trying to get like you have to remember that WWE has a lot of those guys or has had a lot of those guys under contract, and I think that's one of the big issues. I think if they start letting guys go, I think we'll see that happen. I think we'll and once you can get guys from the UK over here, I think that'll be another big thing because at some point they're going to go over there and they're going to tour and they're going to do like crazy, crazy business. I have no doubt they will do crazy, crazy business over there because TNA used to do like insane business over in the UK. So I would expect them to go absolutely crazy. Let's see. I watch ROH. I watch a little bit of MLW. Um, AEW of course. Been watching some stuff on IWTV. Nothing major, just like stuff. I finally signed up for that, and it is worth it, especially if you want to see like some good indie wrestling. I think that was worth it. I did watch the GCW the GCW Texas shows, and they were okay for the most part. And then I also watched Homecoming. They were both like okay. The thing with GCW is like it's either like really good or it's like not so good. And one of the reasons why I like watching GCW is really you are that's where a lot of like the like next up and coming stars really do come from. And so, you even when they're like really green and you're kind of like, man, they're really green, but that is really where they kind of just come up through. So that's one of the reasons why I like checking them out, especially the big shows when they have a lot of people on there. So there is that as well. Um, but one of the reasons why I've been watching MLW is because I was a huge Lucha Underground fan. I know a lot of people weren't, but other than the intergender matches, I like that was like my thing because I love movies, I love cheesy B movies, I love comic books, I love pro wrestling. You blend all of that into like a thing, and I'm gonna be right there, like right there for it, especially when it was good. And it's weird because like it looked like that's kind of what WWE was trying to do, like in like the Thunderdome era, and it was like so much worse. It was like crazy. It was like you could have done all of this stuff, and it came off like so cheesy and so like not as good. It was very, very weird to me. Um, Trying to think of anything. It's really all I really know. Really, I mean, like my match of the year would be here. I will tell you because make sure I'm telling you the right one. I will look it up right now because sure enough I will say something and it won't be the right one. It is because I want to make sure I tell you the right date. That's the thing. Because I'm thinking Yeah, Osprey and Shingo, definitely them. Um, you know that that would probably be my match of the year. But there's been some. I mean, this it's weird because there's been a lot of like really great matches this year, and even with like stuff being the way it is, so and oddly, New Japan still has had like a lot of really great matches, and I would still put money that there's a good chance they'll still get like when the awards stuff starts popping up from everybody, that they'll still have like maybe the match of the year, even though I think that um, it'll be, I think you're going to see AEW like run the gambit again, especially in the Observer Awards again, and people are going to get mad. And yeah, I know. I just talked about that like earlier about them releasing everybody. Um, I watched a little Noah. Um, I've watched some of the All Japan main events. I don't watch a lot of DDT. Oh, being under one flag. Um, it's interesting. I would like to see a little bit more like cohesiveness there because I think it would be better. But right, New Japan matches as opposed to other companies because the standards there is so different. I still the same. I've that goes back to like when I first started tape trading. And the fact that I still just any a match is a match, and if it's something like blows me away, it'll blow me away, and if something doesn't, it doesn't. So there you go. I don't have like I would say the hardest like promotion for me to judge is actually like Dragon Gate because it's like I'll watch it and I really like it, but then like especially if I watch like a whole show, but then by like I get to the end, I've seen so much stuff it like I know I'm like man this looks like it's like really great and it's just not hitting with me because I've seen like too much stuff, which sucks because it's like Dragon Gate probably is in a lot of ways I think the most undervalued by like the fan base promotion out there. To be completely honest, um, so the Bullet Club blew up. New Japan has become more American oriented. Kind of. I would say that yeah. New Japan. I think ever since the Bullet Club blew up, New Japan World has become more. It is, but I mean they've done stuff like that before. But a lot of we see so much of it in WWE. I think that's one of the reasons why people are just so down on New Japan because we see so much of like it's so like just like a weird copy of of American wrestling. It's not like a weird copy in the way that like I can't even remember the name of Hustle was, but it's like you know let's see. It's so weird. A four-star match in New Japan is disappointing. I remember your review of Bushin Tanahashi. Yeah, I mean it's like I think because everybody sets a standard. It's kind of like if Omega and I would say Omega and Danielson because that's probably not fair, but like Omega Punk would probably be a better example. If Omega and Punk was like 4 stars, people would feel disappointed, even though I could see it literally being that way. Just because Punk's have wrestled in like forever, and I could easily see that happening. Was more accessible to American fans. Yeah, I mean, you have to what you the only way to really watch Dragon Gate is through their streaming service, and I hear that it can be kind of a pain. At least that's what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, it would be nicer if it was like if their stuff was on Fight or something like that, especially the big shows. I think it would make it a little bit more easier. I know they I believe don't yeah they have American commentary now, and people have said that that's helped a lot as far as that goes. So it kind of it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, so I don't really know what else to talk about. To be honest, I mean, there's really not a lot. What do you think if AEW did a G1 style tournament with other companies, especially how getting? Um, I think their G1 is kind of what is that that champion eliminator tournament. I bet we get that again this year. Um, and I just talked about all of that stuff, Chase. You weren't here. You didn't. You weren't here. I don't think. Anyways, the eliminator tournament they did last year. I think that's how they get. I think that's how they get Hangman back into the championship picture. Which should probably talk about that because people seem like so mad that like Hangman Page is not getting the championship title shot. Here's the thing: you're bringing in Punk, you're bringing in Danielson. Everybody wants to see Omega and Danielson. Everybody's gonna, that match is even bigger if it's for the title. That's a big fucking match. So, and then after that, then you're probably gonna get Danielson, or you'll get Punk and Omega, and that's a big fucking match. And then you can do, your Hangman Page stuff. It's fine. It is what it is. And it's like, I it is what it is. I mean, people just need to get over that, I think. Also, I guess we could talk about the fact that I guess Cody doesn't put anybody over. Saw that on Twitter. What? What kind of good nonsense is that? The guy, brought in Eddie Kingston. Basically, yes, he beat Eddie Kingston, but there's a way to get a guy over and still beat him. And people don't always understand that. They've got the brainworms because of WWE, and they don't get that. So, but yeah, let's see, Brody Lee, so many guys. It's like he's helped so many guys, and it's just like ridiculous. Since Fernando wants to wrestle in other companies, I think him going to new title, doing an open challenge, and bringing talent from around the world every week. I could see that. I could see that. Maybe there's other things too that could be that as well. So, but we'll see. We will see, I guess. Um, but yeah, but like I'm, a lot of you weren't here, but I am going to Chicago for All Out and for the Rampage before All Out, which is crazy. As long as like Chase doesn't sell our tickets because the tickets keep going up in price. But I believe he's too excited for the show about that. And so yeah, there's that. I'm super excited for that show. That should be an awesome show. I it's crazy. It's a little nuts. And then the Rampage. I am looking really really forward to the I am looking for Punk's debut as well. I think that will be absolutely crazy. Because I think I'm seriously wonder how long they're going to let him go on the mic, because you got to think there's a lot of stuff he wants to say. There's a lot of stuff he wants to talk about. I would think, but that would be crazy. More when he's booked strong. Plus, he's a good wrestler and he's such babyface promos. I'm guessing you're saying that about Adam Page. I'm guessing that's who you're talking about. It'll be the greatest wrestler since Heroes of Wrestling. I would hope so, because Heroes of Wrestling. I almost, believe it or not, I almost ordered that show because Jake Roberts was on it, and because Jake Roberts and Tully Blanchard were on that show, I almost ordered that pay-per-view. Believe it or not, I'm so glad I didn't. So glad I didn't. Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been So bad. If you've never seen Heroes of Wrestling, I know people are like, it's a must watch because it's so bad. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. It's not even bad in a funny way. It's like bad in a sad way. Sad, 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 sad way. Um, let's see. So you guys have any more questions? There's like 19 of you in here. I would imagine some of you would have still some stuff that you wanted to ask. Or not. Read any comic? I let's see. Where's the last comic I read? Last comic book I read was I think one of the Hellraiser collections. I'm pretty sure. I think so. I think that's probably the last comic book I read. Reread the Netflix show that just popped up. Reread that too. Let's see. You think Careers Hero gets signed somewhere? Maybe. I don't know. That's probably dependent upon him. Oh, Punk and Bryan, yeah. They probably won't have a match until probably All Out next year, I would imagine. And the new A's, I would have to see the AEW video game. But I don't know. I would think the DLCs would be like all of the legends that they have, like Big Show, Mark Henry, probably at that point all the Horsemen, Sting. What else do they have? Jake Roberts. All of that, all of the which I expect at some point we will probably get all of those guys as action figures too, and people will go crazy. People will go absolutely nuts. Um, People go crazy for that because a lot of you go crazy for action figures, and I can't judge because I will show you. I did go crazy finally for an action figure. I had to get this dude because he's awesome. I have two of him actually. I have one that I have opened, and yes, I'm that big of a nerd, and I have one that I opened just so that I could just mess with him. So yeah. Let's see. I completely finished Cyberpunk because I got my new computer that I can actually run Cyberpunk so that it actually works. And for the most part, I think I only had one major glitch the entire time I played it. So and enjoyed that. Been replaying Fallout 4. What have I been playing? I started playing Ascent. The Ascent. I think it's The Ascent. I think is the name of it. You have to have. I will admit, my new computer it's not top of line, but it's pretty close, and so I didn't have any issues, but I could definitely see if you had issues where that game would bug people to death. But let's see what else. I finished. Let's see, Wasteland 3. I'm almost done with Pathfinder Kingmaker, which is an absolutely fucking awesome game. What's that other game that I've been playing? The other RPG I've been playing. Let's see. That would be. Which one are you? Solasta, I think is the name of it. Crown of the Magister. That one's really cool if you like RPGs. And pretty much that's been. Oh, and Greedfall. I played Greedfall for a little bit, so That's mostly what I've been playing, other than the stupid computer board games that I play. But yeah, you sold all your figures to Joe. It'll have a trailer, but I'm sure I'm sure that movie, we probably won't see a trailer for that movie until other things happen. I think it's one of those type of situations. I think, but yeah, yeah. I don't have a lot of like I have a Samoa Joe figure. I have a Kenta figure. My wife got me a Steve Austin figure. I've got a couple of the zombie figures. And I think I got a couple of the monster figures too. I think, but that's about it. And then upstairs, I've got some of the, what do I have? Jake Roberts and Rey Mysterio in the He-Man type WWE figures. Those are pretty cool. My wife got me those. Um, yeah, I think that's all the figures I have. Other than I get the pro wrestling crate box, so you get you always get those little minifigs that they give. So I have a ton of those now. So do I collect statues? I do not. The only statue I have is I have a Frank Rosetta Death Dealer statue. That's the only thing I have, just because I'm a big giant Frank Rosetta fan. Appeals to a lot of nerd culture. What do you think of them doing a trading card game that's close to Magic the Gathering? I would expect if they did a trading card game, it would be closer to not Magic the Gathering. I would expect it to be, well, it's just kind of Magic the Gathering. I would expect it to be closer to probably Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably. I would expect. I would probably be closer to that because, but I guess that's the same type of thing. Would be, or will the curse of Gaiman's bad endings continue with Sam? Yeah, but see, I like the ending of Sandman. So I you know I like that ending, and it makes sense in the whole thing. So how did you get your kid into watching wrestling? My kid, neither of my kids watch wrestling anymore. The one watched because she liked Roman Reigns and Nia Jax, and then when I stopped watching WWE, she was like done. So there you go. But yeah, with Gaiman, I'm trying to think. I mean, he has lots of bad. Like, I wouldn't call his endings bad. They're just like anticlimactic. But I do think Sandman has the best ending. Yeah, I would say Sandman has like, for the most part. I mean, 1602 has like an awesome ending, but I'm trying to think of. And his Norse Gods book that has a pretty good ending too. But I mean that's not really his ending. I don't think. And he did make the animated Beowulf. He's the one that wrote that, and he made that ending like updated it, and I actually kind of like that too. What point does it become too much? I saw a wrestler might have been who tried to do a Dragon Ball Street Fighter style fireball but missed. When is it ridiculous? Ridiculous? I mean, Kenny Omega used to do that. It just depends. I mean, I think it depends on the environment. To me, I don't know. Couldn't couldn't tell you for sure. But yeah, I think think I've gone over most of everything that I can think of. What do you think of AEW turning the FTW title into the New Japan's never openweight title, focusing more on the stiffer and bigger guys? I could see that. I mean, to me, they like. I think they had an idea for the FTW title, just never. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, I mean, that was always a joke title, anyways, because the whole point was is that Taz couldn't get a world title shot, and so he created his own title, and then even like to become like they, as long as he was the FTW championship, they wouldn't let him. If I'm remembering right, he couldn't win. Couldn't go for the ECW title. So then he had Sabu beat him. So Sabu then became that, and he hated the title because it was Taz's title, and of course they hate each other. So yeah, but I could see that, like maybe having that be like the super heavyweight title. I could see that, or the stiff man's title. I could see that as well. That would be an interesting thing. But I think I'm done. I can't think of much else to talk about. I mean, not really. Can't really think of much else to talk about. Miro would work better as the top guy for Team Taz. Yeah, Taz doesn't need like Miro doesn't need to be in Team Taz. Miro's pretty much fine by himself. But I will say this: I find it weird that Miro is basically doing the same gimmick as Seth Rollins, but he's doing it like 50,000 times better. It almost makes me wonder if like there's something there that we don't know about. I've been wondering for this for a while, so it's kind of weird. Did you hear why the Last Man is getting it? Yes, I actually saw the trailer for it. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how close an adaptation it is. I really liked that comic. The middle of it kind of drags. I'm curious if they're going to go full bore with the Amazons though, because that's like I don't know if people would be okay with that. So, but it is a awesome part of that story that I hope they don't like change, because I really feel like it needs to be like how it was. So, do you think Vince cares if Bray Wyatt goes to AEW, and if he didn't, would that be wise in your opinion? I mean, I figure the Bray Wyatt thing, there's a lot to it that we don't know. We'll probably find out at some point. So we'll see. We'll see. I think we'll find out more about the Bray Wyatt stuff like as time goes by. Kind of situation. I probably will do more of these actually. Would you like to see Tony Khan sign to AEW women's wrestler? Well, apparently they already signed Ruby, so I mean, she's the only like I guess if Mercedes still wants to like go now that she's out of WWE. I would say her maybe, but I don't think they need a lot. So I don't know. I think the Iconics would be better in Impact. I really do. I don't think they would work in AEW because I don't I just don't think they would work in AEW as much. Yeah, they probably would love him there, but I don't think Jim Cornette. I think is if you listen to him, and I do, as far as history goes, he's awesome. he's just so out of touch when it comes to modern wrestling, and I don't even think he's out of touch. I think he just, like a lot of people have said, I think he's worked himself into a shoot on it. I think that he's just like he was, he was doing a gimmick, and then I think he at some point he started believing the gimmick. So, well, she has nobody to blame but himself. I would say Cornette is a wrestling gatekeeper of like, which is weird when you actually think about Jim Cornette. Really, really, I think to me, yeah, maybe he's too jaded. I don't know. I think part of it is that I'm sure there's a lot more to like the whole thing with him and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega than we know. I'm sure some of that has to do with like him in when he was in ROH and running ROH. So did I drop? Maybe I dropped. Anyways, I think I'm gonna go because yeah. Anyways, later on. Hope you all have a good night, and I will try to do these again. That's kind of the plan right now. So, Sergi, the first one, definitely the first one. Um, yeah, definitely the first one. Anyways, I am out. You guys have a good one. Be safe. Have a good weekend. Like I said, I will probably try to do these a little bit more often. That's the plan, anyways. Because I had been planning doing this after, as soon as I had gotten my new computer, because I knew that things would run a little more smoother than they had. The last couple times I've tried to do this, and I was able to actually get a cheapo mic that actually didn't, where the sound wasn't being absolutely crap all the time, like it had been. So yeah, because whatever. But everybody says that, so we'll see. We will um, try to make this like a weekly thing, and maybe next week, because it won't be like a spur of the moment thing. I will actually have like things I can actually talk about. Yeah, but that's a gimmick. The PS Power thing is a gimmick. I have no doubt that that's a gimmick. At this point, it's a gimmick. I figure that I have like a lot of people that have followed me. Maybe, I don't know. He like, I think his work schedule and my work schedule just make it hard. But yeah, because I mean, it's weird. I find it so weird that like me, him, and LV could all like sit there and like talk to each other for like hours, and it would be like a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I'll just put it like that. But but yeah, but I did a video with Bill, so, or Doug, with Doug, not Bill, with Doug. But I only see Crazy Mike on Facebook being crazy, quite literally. But anyways, I'm gonna head on out. You guys all have a good night, a good weekend. Be safe, and hopefully talk to you guys soon.